Hello, this is Ender and welcome to my VRcade. Since we're having such wonderful weather and the Quest Pro has such great augmented reality capabilities, I thought I should do this unboxing outside and give it a try in the outdoors and see how it augments reality. Hello, this is Ender and welcome to my VRcade, where I like to educate you on how to make the best financial investment with your VR gaming dollars. Unlike that bonehead from the Wall Street Journal who doesn't understand, like hopefully everyone here does, VR headsets are not to be used outside unless you want to burn a $300 hole in your headset. I will educate you based on my actual knowledge and experience with VR headsets, as well as the information we gained from Mark Zuckerberg's Instagram reveal about the Quest 3, as well as my couple weeks now spent with the Quest Pro based on a lot of your suggestions that I check it out. And I'm gonna break all that down for you today. So the Quest Pro was marketed as a enterprise business headset. So engineers, designers, the developers of the metaverse could all be working in virtual reality and do a lot of augmented reality, have a lot of the outside world layered over top with its color pass-through, be working at their desk and computer with a headset on. There is potentially a situation where that might happen, and there are some people who do that. If you look at this working VR channel, you can see this gentleman uses his Quest Pro for coding daily with some comfort modifications, like all Quest devices, unfortunately. The colors are phenomenal. The blacks or the contrast levels are phenomenal. Not only is it noticeable in games like Beat Saber, where you have a very dark environment. First time I went into that game with this headset, I thought something was wrong because the arena for Beat Saber was so dark, I thought my headset was off. So the blacks, the contrast are phenomenal for that game, for Red Matter 2, which I'll talk about more. And it'd be great for anyone who plays horror games, games in dark and wonderful, much talked about, pancake lenses. And by eliminating the Fresnel lens, we don't get any glare, something that Index is very prone to. Yes, you do have color pass-through. It's usable to the point that you can reach down and grab an object off your desk, grab your phone off your desk, although you can't really read your phone off your desk because it just shows up as a big white bloom. And you can even play some games in mixed reality, not that I played a lot of that, or augmented reality I think would be the more appropriate term, such as in the case of Demio. You can see here with Demio, I just tried it real briefly in its pass-through mode, where you can see the outside environment and the game board simultaneously. All the rumors are true, everything you've heard. This is the most uncomfortable headset I've ever worn, and it is extremely challenging to make it work. At least I think so. But first off, I tried out stock. The first thing I noticed was the blinders. This headset is focused, of course, as you heard, on working in an office and designed to look sleek so business executives will want to spend, at that point when it first launched, $1,500 on this thing. And much like many out-of-touch business executives, they had no idea how incredibly uncomfortable and impractical this thing is to wear. You can see that I did make many attempts to make this device more comfortable and more tolerable, really. On recommendation of one Discorder, used a backwards baseball cap to alleviate the incredible pain and discomfort from the stock forehead pad, if you can even call it some sort of pad or cushion. That hat, while might have made the comfort a little bit better, it was incredibly hot. After going from the backwards baseball cap, I went to try the Vive Deluxe audio strap, which worked great for the Quest 1 and Quest 2. But to fit it around this device, it doesn't really work well because of how stiff this is, and you then have to crank 2 dials to adjust the tightness. It didn't work, which is a shame because I love that audio. And even when I did set it up with some Velcro on either end here to make it attach and kind of overlap this device, I still couldn't get the headphones to sit right over my ear. So that wasn't a great solution either. Another thing with pretty much all Quest devices is the poor audio. The built-in audio is far, far superior to the Quest 2, but it lacks bass pretty much whatsoever, and it lacks mids. So this is, I'm gonna say, the VR Masters replacement cushion, and it is substantially cushier. And I really didn't think this was gonna save this device and make it wearable. It does. It did reduce all that redness after up to, I think, almost 2 hours of gameplay. I tried to strap from front to back, and I tried to strap from side to side. The side-to-side strap, I think, is more effective. I'll link to one that others recommended in the comments because that allows you to tilt the headset up or down a little bit so you can stay in the sweet spot a little better. The resolution. it's actually a lower resolution than the Quest 2, which is less money and older. Now, as some have pointed out, you do get, depending on which measurement you look at on VR Compare, you can see it does list a greater pixel density at one measurement and lower than the Quest 2 at another. I don't really know which is the correct one, so to speak. All I know is I noticed a fine mesh or screen door over everything. Now, granted, the colors are gorgeous. There is no glare, and it is a very cool looking image in a lot of ways using the Quest Pro. But it's kind of like looking at a gorgeous, beautiful vista over a nasty screen door. Yes, I know the resolution is far superior to the Quest 1 and very close to the Quest 2. But with this device, I felt like I was wearing Quest 1 again, where everything was just distorting my view, and it drove me nuts. Because again, gorgeous colors and everything's being obscured. Like driving in a car with a foggy window through a national park. And you just want to wipe that away to see what's beneath it, but you can't. As crazy as it sounds, I actually prefer the lower resolution of the Index, where everything just looks kind of more consistently less sharp, like a lower texture graphic, than having that screen door over everything. That's the best way I can explain it, which may not be the case for you. Speaking of textures, when I tried this device, standalone, games only, it didn't make them look that much better. Certainly not $1,500 better, or even after the price drop of $1,000. I didn't feel like I was getting $500 better than I was with the Quest 2. With the Quest 2 versus the Quest Pro, I am getting a better quality image and a better visual experience and auditory experience, so that's worth something. $200-300 worth is what it felt like to me. Not a $500 upgrade. And as far as Quest 2 standalone games go, everyone said the one I really need to try is Red Matter 2. With local dimming enabled, you get even better blacks and better contrast, leading to a more realistic image. A note on the visual quality here, it is a lot better than what you're seeing because I was casting this so I could get some mixed reality footage, myself in reality and myself in the game. I was impressed by those shadows you can see, particularly on that logo for that CIA and space-inspired logo. The light reflections were impressive. Perhaps a bit too much blooming on that light in the ceiling. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I still saw that fine mesh screen door on pretty much any surface I looked at within maybe 6 feet of me. So that was a deal breaker for me as far as spending extra money just for colors, just for blacks. I want the whole package for $1,000 price tag. So I don't recommend the Quest Pro unless deep blacks and more contrasting colors are what's important to you. Otherwise, I would stay with your Quest 2 if you have one. Now, on to these controllers. These are impressive. And I was really skeptical being a Valve Index user with 4 base stations for excellent tracking. They do feel extremely well built. They are heavy. They have 3 cameras and they each have their own cell phone processor. You do have phenomenal tracking. I really tried to break it. The tracking, as you can see in Beat Saber, and the controllers didn't lose tracking. I do like even the way that the trigger button is even curled up a little bit better. It kind of feels like my finger's less likely to slip off. These are great. No doubt. The only people who might not care for them, I know I had some other viewers comment that the Valve Index controllers are too heavy. Well, these are way too heavy compared to the Valve Index controllers. So for competitive Beat Saber players who want an alternative to the Quest 2 controller, that's not going to be these guys if you care about the weight for your endurance in Beat Saber sessions. But as far as accuracy goes, far superior to Quest 2, and very comparable to the Index controllers. If there's a difference, it's beyond my ability to tell. So PCVR, what did I notice? What are the good things? Yes, the colors do carry over and they are impressive. Again, the contrast is great too. I really loved in Into the Radius in particular, how I went into deep dark shadows and they were truly dark and that light didn't bleed over into other objects. But again, the screen door was disappointing. Even though I tried to increase the resolution through super sampling, I wasn't impressed. And I also ran into another issue. I was using virtual desktop, which may or may not be the best solution, but it's the only one I like because AirLink really limits what you can customize when you're playing wirelessly. And as far as wired, why? If you're gonna play wired, get a PCVR headset. Anyhow, I have an NVIDIA RTX 3080 and I have a Ryzen 5900X. That's at the very least, a mid-range PC these days. But even at 100% super sampling with dedicated Wi-Fi 6 router, not 6E, there was so much artifacting that I couldn't really even appreciate the colors that much because I felt like I was back on a Quest 2 with all this blurriness or a significant drop in frame rate. Maybe if you got a 4090, 4080, something beastly like that, maybe you need a Wi-Fi 6E, which finally got enabled for this headset. All I know is I was not impressed with the lack of sharpness or resolution when I tried the Quest Pro on PC, and I'd rather be using a Valve Index, which I know is much lower resolution, but at 200% super sampling, I get great frame rates across all games, and I get a consistently smooth image, as I'll call it, where I don't see either this artifacting, this blurriness that's distorting and coming and going, like I'm back on a TV on an antenna. I feel like it's a good consistent image that way, and I'm gonna stick with the Index for the same price. And additionally, more options with those base stations. This, I think, is the big exception where the Pro might make more sense to you, is if you are a VR chat player or other social app player, because of course, you do get the eye and face tracking for those apps. However, I did try to get face and eye tracking to work with an avatar that supports it in VR chat, the beta branch, like you're supposed to. And I got nothing. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. I couldn't get it to work. I know it's officially supposed to work, but I couldn't get it to. That's my review on the Quest Pro. Where does the Quest Pro fit in the Meta lineup today? What makes the most sense for you? And in the VR lineup at large? According to Meta, the Quest 3 is going to be 25% sharper image quality at the center and 50% at the edges versus the Quest 2. It's going to have twice as fast graphics processing capability as the Quest 2, pancake lenses, much like in the Quest Pro, for a non-glare image, and again, that thinner form factor. So I think the value is there at $500 and makes sense for current Quest 2 owners, or even Quest 1 owners. But if you've never had a VR headset before and you're on a budget and you don't have a gaming PC, I think Quest 2 is still the way to go. For those of you who are Quest 2 owners, the controllers is one of the biggest questionable parts. You might have seen the image where it shows what appear to be Quest Pro controllers, but they're not. They do not have a tracking ring, but they also don't have the cameras of the Quest Pro controllers. So my theory is they are going to be tracked controllers, but not to the level of the Quest 2 controllers. I could be wrong. This is my guess here. If you're a gamer of the level of expert in Beat Saber or higher, I think you are gonna want to tack on $300 for those Quest Pro controllers. And for those of you wondering why I don't recommend the Quest Pro, well, comfort, frame rate can be limited to 90 frames per second. But again, that's my opinion. If you think the colors are more important, please let me know in the comments and let me know if you disagree with me. That is fine. I welcome a wide range of opinions on this channel as long as we do so respectfully and calmly. The other reason why I don't recommend the Quest Pro is even though I was able to make it tolerable as far as comfort goes, there's not much more you can do. As we all know, the Quest 2 can be made very comfortable with, say, a Bobo M2 Pro or M1, and multiple audio options to improve the audio quality, which for me is a huge part of VR. There's nothing I enjoy more than the Valve Index speakers for audio, the Vive Deluxe audio strap a close second, and obviously none of those are going to work well with the Quest Pro. I think the Quest 3 is a more natural gaming headset where you're going to be able to customize it the way you want, get a higher frame rate, probably get higher resolution because the Quest Pro has a lower resolution than the Quest 2, and the new chip that's going in the Quest 3 is faster and more powerful than what's in the Quest Pro. The downside of the Quest 3 versus the Quest Pro is you're not going to have that local dimming capability much as you do on the Quest Pro. You get better color. If you are a big VR chat player, I can see you making the Quest Pro work with some comfort mods and a battery mod, because I know VR chat players love to stay in there for hours. And that would have enough value, I think, for you to stick with that, especially because you're generally not looking at super high resolution textures in those unoptimized worlds anyway. Back to the Quest 3. Those controllers might be the X factor, and for $300, 500 plus 300, you're at $800 for the 128 gigabyte Quest 3. If you are going to be playing a lot of standalone, well, I think you should still be on a Quest 2, because if you saw that metagaming showcase like I did, I was not impressed by those textures, because all those games are optimized for Quest 2. They're not optimized for Quest 3. I don't know how much benefit you're going to get out of a Quest 3 on standalone games. So those are my thoughts on where you should be investing your gaming dollars. I hope you appreciated this content. If you'd like to add some comments of your own down below, I welcome that in a respectful manner. If you've appreciated my market analysis, please click that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you'd like to see more content from me, please subscribe to see more. Thanks so much for watching.